What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here again today for another BFR, and, woo! I did not expect what happened last night. For the second nationally televised game the Hawks had this year, of course, they had their first game on ESPN, the start of the season. This game was on TNT, and 8:30 game on October 15th, and I thought this game's going to be a bit late, because Central Time Zone 8:30 starts are really only on the West Coast if they're playing Vancouver, Seattle, Edmonton, Calgary, LA, Anaheim, Vegas, San Jose, those sorts of teams. But it was in St. Louis. Game 5 was in St. Louis against the St. Louis Blues. The score 8-3 Chicago. Yeah, shocking. Record, Hawks are now 500, 2-2-1. Shots were 29-26 Chicago. Hits were 28-6 St. Louis. Faceoffs 29-25 Chicago. Power play Chicago 0 for 3. St. Louis 0 for 2. Soderblom saves 23 out of 26. Hofer saves 15 out of 22, even though he had 2 stints in net. And Binnington saves 6 out of 7. Yep, I know. Foligno is out. Reichel was in. Foligno is out due to he's taking a short leave of absence for his daughter's follow-up surgery, as she has congenital heart disease. So he's taking the time, of course, to be with his daughter, which is fully understandable. And best wishes and prayers to Nick Foligno and his family. First period, it starts off really, really fast. The Hawks are playing with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. And 16:58, Hofer just throws it right out. He goes behind the net to handle the stick. He tries to pass it. Goes right to Ilya Mikheyev, and he's got a wide open net, as he now has 3 goals in 2 games. Mikheyev gets his 3rd of the season unassisted. It's 1-0 Hawks. 15:31, so about a minute and a half later, the Blues respond. It's a rebound goal from Jake Neighbors. 4th of the season from Parayko and Buchnevich. It's a 1-1 game. Less than a minute after that, at 14:37, on a very weird angle, Lukas Reichel, who's only playing in his 2nd game of the 5 so far, 1st of the season from Grzelcyk to make it 2-1. And you hope things get going for Reichel. And then later on in the game, they definitely did. 5:06, it's a St. Louis goal to Dylan Holloway, his 1st of the season from Kyrou to make it 2-2. Holloway then levels Rinzel on the next play against the boards and just destroys him. 1:53, St. Louis penalty to Neighbors for tripping, which is killed, and that would 7 seconds would go into the second period, and the rest of it would be killed off. However, the second period is where the Hawks decide we're taking over this game. Kyrou is saved early. It's getting physical. 17-11, the Hawks score. And at first it looks like it's Vlasic, but after a review, it's a deflection from Lukas Reichel, his 2nd of the game. Lukas Reichel is a point-a-game player. You hear that, folks? 2nd of the season from Vlasic and Bedard to make it 3-2. 15:28, it's a Chicago scores again, and Frank Nazar scores on a rush. He kind of hits the goalie on the way in. The puck has already crossed the line, and his momentum had carried him into Hofer. And so Jake Neighbors then just tackles him and tries to kill him, of which there's a brawl starts, and Frank Nazar just leaves the brawl and just starts celebrating the goal, which I thought was hilarious. Nazar gets his 2nd of the season from Bertuzzi and Kaiser. It's a 4-2 game. And so for that retaliation on the goal, Neighbors gets a penalty, 15:28, for roughing, which is killed. Because at 14:33, it's a Chicago penalty to Rinzel for slashing, so it's 4-on-4 for a little over a minute. Bedard was spending too much time just bickering and shoving the Blues players, and I talked about this in the Montreal game. He's spending too much time being an agitator when really the way you agitate the other team is just by putting pucks on net and scoring. Then they'll take stupid penalties, and that's how you aggravate them. Bedard is going about it the wrong way. I know he said we're not going to take you-know-what this year, but still. Levshunov is saved, and that was close. At 12:15, Binnington goes in. So they decide, right after a commercial break, they put Binnington in the net. And I'm like, okay. Reichel has a break that is saved as he's looking for the hat trick, and he was close to getting the hat trick all night, but he never ended up getting it. Suter has a chance, that's Pew Suter. Doc has a break that's saved as the Hawks just kept getting chances. The Blues were pressuring late in the period as Soderblom decides to stay in tall. 11:08, it's a Chicago snipe from Jason Dickinson, his 1st of the season from Vlasic, as my phone's falling. There. Nope. Come on. There we go. Work with me there. Dickinson gets his first of the season from Vlasic to make it 5-2. So Vlasic with a couple of assists. Reichel's got a couple goals. It's a good night if you're a Blackhawk right now. It's 5-2 going into the third. And they're not done. Hofer's back in for the third, and I wonder if St. Louis questioned that decision because at 18:43, it's another Chicago goal, and it's Ryan Donato with his first of the season, just jamming it past Hofer. His first of the season from Vlasic and Mikheyev to make it 6-2. So Mikheyev 4 points in his last 2 games. Vlasic has 3 assists in this game. Things look good. It's 6-2 Chicago. 15:04, it's a St. Louis penalty to Thomas for high sticking. Neighbors is starting to start crap. He's just going around punching guys, and surprised he didn't get another penalty in the game. There's a Bronx cheer on a save that Hofer makes. It was one that just the puck just kind of went down the ice, and you know the Bronx cheer when you barely do anything after a horrible game and the crowd starts going nuts for you. Then at 14:57, so on that power play, 7 seconds in, it's a one-timer goal. And here's the thing, I'm still not sure who scored the goal because on the TNT broadcast, they credit it as a deflection by Tyler Bertuzzi with his first of the season from Teravainen and Bedard had an insane pass to Teravainen. However, ESPN and all the other sources I see, it's a Chicago goal to Teravainen, his second of the season from Bedard and Rinzel. So I haven't seen that get updated yet. I'm looking. If it's Bertuzzi's goal, it's his first of the season from Teravainen and Bedard. And if it's Teravainen's goal, it's his second of the season from Bedard and Rinzel. But Bedard, though, incredible cross-ice pass. Just incredible across the zone. So, yeah, that's that strange thing. 8:32, St. Louis gets one back after the Hawks have made it 7-2. And it's deflects off Kaiser, and it's Tyler Tucker with his first of the season from Neighbors to make it 7-3. Less than a minute later, the Hawks get a rush, and it's a rebound on an open net for Ryan Green, his first career NHL goal, his first of the season from Reichel and Bedard. So Bedard got a bunch of assists, Vlasic's got a bunch of assists, Mikheyev's got a goal and an assist, Reichel's got 2 goals and an assist. Everyone's getting points tonight. It's 8-3 Chicago with 7.5 to go. And at this point, I'm thinking, are we going to get 10? Are we actually going to score 10 goals? We wouldn't. 6:07, Joseph goes down, and it's a Chicago penalty to Crevier for cross-checking, which is killed. Mikheyev and Dickinson have a 2-on-1 short-handed that is saved. Donato is denied. The Blues' chances are mostly going wide. Reichel has a last-minute chance that is saved. And the Hawks win this one 8-3 in St. Louis. First time that the Hawks have scored 7 goals against St. Louis since 2010-11. First time they've scored 8 goals since St. Louis since 1990, and I believe that was in Game 6 or Game 7 of a playoff series, if I remember correctly. So, fantastic game all around. I really can't complain about what I've witnessed here. The Hawks, when the Hawks score more than 5 these days, it's kind of insane. So, scoring 8, it made it a fun game to watch, and especially after the first period where those first 2 goals definitely didn't deserve to go in. You thought, okay, it probably should be 2-0 St. Louis right now. The Hawks are lucky to be in it. And then they said, nah, we're not lucky, and they just took off. Anyway, guys, that's going to be all I have for you guys in this one. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video, and I shall see you all in the next one. Have a good one.